Well, the biggest game of the week, and it's pretty obvious this week, down in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome, number 1 Florida against number 2 Alabama. It's only the second time in SEC history that the league has had two of its teams in a 1-versus-2 game. The last time was last year when Alabama and Florida met in the SEC title game. Florida won that one for a trip to the national championship game. The same thing is on the line this year. The winner wins the SEC championship and a trip to the national championship game. The loser probably ends up in the Sugar Bowl, though there is a chance, outside chance, that the loser could get a rematch with the winner in the national championship game in Pasadena. But neither team wants to have to worry about what Texas does later on in the night. They want to win this game. The game matches two of the best defenses in the country, number 1 ranked defense in Florida, number 3 in Alabama. Those defenses should have a lot to do with who wins this game. They'll also have a lot to do with who wins the Heisman Trophy. Both teams have a candidate for the Heisman Trophy. Florida's Tim Tebow already has a Heisman and hasn't played as well this year as he had the last 2 years, but he's still in the running. And even though he's had some shaky games and not as flashy stats, a really big game against Alabama on this big stage, I'm sure would vault him up to the top of a lot of people's ballots. On Alabama's side, running back Mark Ingram was considered the front runner for the Heisman until last week when he had 30 yards against Auburn in a close win for the Crimson Tide. For Florida, that tremendous defense will be out without one of its best players. Defensive end Carlos Dunlap was suspended this week after getting a DUI. Dunlap was the MVP of last season's national championship game on the defensive side for Florida and is projected as a first-round pick in the NFL. The other spot in the national championship game is in the hands of the Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns can clinch it with a win over Nebraska, ranked number 21 in the Big 12 championship game played at Dallas Cowboys Stadium. Texas hasn't won a Big 12 title since 2005. That year, they also went on to win the national title. Colt McCoy and the Longhorns are going to hope to do the same thing this season. Back then, it was Vince Young. Now it's McCoy, the star quarterback who can do it all, run and pass. He's coming off one of his best games of the season, threw for over 300 yards, ran for 175 against Texas A&M. Another big game by McCoy against a good Nebraska defense could make him the Heisman front runner. On Nebraska's side, the defense is pretty good, but the offense is pretty bad, and he'll be facing a defense in Texas that has been good all season until last week when it got burned by Texas A&M. So they'll also be out for redemption this week.